Hi everyone, my name is Blake. Welcome to my channel. I have not sat and filmed in a hot minute. I think it's been like a year. This year has been very stressful and busy for me. I'm sure it has been for a lot of people, but I have been in grad school and I took some extra classes to get done earlier, and I have been building a house over the course of the year, which is where I am currently sitting. So the semester is finished, my house is finishing up, so I definitely have the reading itch because I have not been able to read for most of the year. I have not read very much because I did not realize how time-consuming building a house would be. But today I wanted to talk about a book that I was super hyped about because it's like universally loved by BookTube, but I was super let down when I read it. And that book is Jade City by Fonda Lee. And full disclosure up front, I DNFed this book at about the 220 page mark, which I think is about halfway through. And I normally wouldn't make an entire video about a book that I have DNF'd. However, this book really got me thinking a lot about hype, expectations, and kind of the way that books are marketed, because I almost feel like if I had known more about this book going in, then I would have probably not picked it up, because I think if I had known more, I would have known that it was not for me. So I knew going in that this book was very character driven, that we're following this crime family in this urban kind of low fantasy world where the magic system is lighter. I knew that going in, but I was surprised at how low the fantasy elements actually were. I could not get on board with any of the characters, and I normally really like morally gray characters, and the characters in this book definitely fall within that gray area, but I wasn't that interested in them. I didn't find any of them particularly different from one another or memorable, and I don't even remember what most of their names are, and I have a pretty good memory when it comes to books. So I feel like that should have been one of my indicators as I was reading that it wasn't for me. And I put it down and I just had no desire to come back to it. And I just kept forcing myself to read it because I was waiting and waiting for more fantasy elements to come through, and they just didn't. And I think that is what I disliked the most about the book. We got this really great fantasy scene in the very beginning. Like in that prologue there, or the first chapter, it was like super action-packed. I loved the fantasy, I loved the description of the magic. And then for the next 220 pages, we really don't get much of anything regarding the fantasy or the magic. And I was just waiting. Like I just kept going because I was looking for that. And I thought it was really cool what we got, but it really wasn't as present as I would have hoped. In fact, this almost felt more like historical fiction to me rather than fantasy. And I also wanted to see more from the other clans. Like this clan in particular, we're following multiple characters, but they are all from the same clan. Like I already know what this clan is thinking, what they're doing. And so it felt almost repetitive in that sense, where like I wanted to see some POVs from other clans to see what they were up to. That being said, I didn't think that this book was the worst. I didn't think it was absolutely horrible or unreadable. I think that the writing style was very unique and I really enjoyed it. I loved the way that she described the city of Janloon, and I would definitely visit more of her works. And I am planning on reading her upcoming novel. Is it Untethered Mage? Untethered Sky? Something like that. It's coming out in 2023, and it looks more fantasy leaning. So I would definitely be willing to pick up other works by this author. But this one sadly just didn't do it for me. And I was so disappointed because it is so well loved in the fantasy community. What's interesting about my thoughts on this book is that I could totally see myself enjoying this if it were like a TV show or a film. But as a book, I found it incredibly boring because we are just following these characters as they are having conversations, essentially. This book felt entirely just like it was conversations and being in characters' heads. And I feel like there was not a whole lot of substance beyond that, especially within these characters, because I found them incredibly similar, incredibly boring, and I didn't feel like any of them were the most interesting in terms of what they were doing or what they were contributing to the plot, or even just their decision-making skills were pretty frustrating to me. Like, I just didn't care. And I had a really difficult time connecting with anyone. Like, something was just missing. Like, no character was in the story that I liked, whether it be side characters or main characters. Please let me know if you have read Jade City, and if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, what your thoughts were, because I would love to know. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.